Joe Biden was declared the winner of the 2020 presidential election. But outgoing President Donald Jigglypuff Trump is still looking for ways to overturn the results. Recounts haven't worked for him. Legal challenges haven't worked for him. And he even tried signing an executive order that November 3rd was opposite day, but somehow that didn't work. But it turns out there is one more thing that Trump could try.
Could faithless electors save President Trump's reelection?
Some Republicans trying to get faithless electors to vote against the will of the people.
President Trump's allies and his family today urged Republican state legislatures to ignore the will of voters in their states and to install electors that will cast electoral votes for President Trump.
Yeah, even though Trump lost the election, some of his people are hoping that he could pull out a win by using faithless electors. And although faithless electors sounds like one of your auntie's grown-up novels, they're not. And look, please don't get me wrong. This would be a long shot. Like it's about as likely as Mitch McConnell being on the cover of Men's Health. But theoretically, faithless electors could give Trump the presidency. So the question is, who are they? What are they? And how can they be used to overturn the election? Well, let's find out in another installment of If You Don't Know, Now You Know. When you were a little kid, you probably believed that people vote for president, and whoever gets the most votes wins. Yeah? Simple child mind. The same way you believed that your younger brother was brought by the stork. But once you got older, you learned that actually your mom and dad were riding the F train to Bonetown, because Bonetown is where the stork lives, and that's how they got your little brother. And in the same way, the system for electing a president in America is more complex than just one person, one vote. Because you see, America's founding fathers wanted to come up with something that would prevent their biggest fear, the people choosing someone terrible.
The Electoral College is a sort of glued together solution to a problem that the Constitutional Convention couldn't really solve.
They said, should the Congress elect the president? No, if they do that, then Congress will own the presidency.
Another option was to have the people select their leader, but at the time they thought the country was too large and the people not informed enough to make that choice.
And one of the odd compromises that they came up with was actually using this set of political elites to do the actual voting for president, but still providing a mechanism to select those electors.
They thought by creating this wise group of elites, these electors could filter popular passions. They were afraid of a demagogue being chosen. They mistrusted direct democracy.
Alexander Hamilton wrote that the goal was to ensure that, quote, the office of president will never fall to the lot of any man who is not in an eminent degree endowed with the requisite qualifications.
That's right. According to Alexander Hamilton, the office of the president will never fall to the lot of any man who is not in an eminent degree endowed. Damn, I should make a musical out of this. You guys hear this? But the point is, Americans don't vote for the president. Americans vote for a slate of electors who will then go on to vote for the president. In many ways, it's the same way that American high school kids don't buy the beer. They give the homeless man money, and then he goes to buy the beer on their behalf. That way, it's more responsible. And it's amazing how, if you read into it, the founding fathers really thought that everyone in the country was super dumb. Because everyone talks about how they wanted to build a new perfect society, when really, they were just basically installing child-proofing to keep the country safe and stop Americans from eating sand. Now, this whole idea of electors being smarter than the masses fell by the wayside pretty quickly. And one of the main reasons for doing this was because they thought a lot of Americans wouldn't know enough about the candidates to vote for them. But you see, that was hundreds of years ago, when information was harder to come by. Like, you only found out news when someone delivered it by horse. But now, we've got the internet, people. Everyone's super informed. Like, everyone in America, we all know things. Just look at my phone. I know that Hunter Biden moved to Russia and sold his laptop to Rudy Giuliani for drugs. I know that Hillary Clinton is in a pedophile ring and they drink the blood of children. And I know that Melania has a body double who's having an affair with Gary Busey. Huh. Actually, you know what? Maybe we should go back to the horse. I don't know about this internet thing. But the point is, today it's understood that a state's electors will vote for the candidate who won their state's popular vote. The only problem is, that's just an understanding. It's not an actual law.
According to the National Archives, there is no constitutional provision or federal law that requires electors to vote according to their results of the popular vote in their state.
Those who don't follow the will of the electorate, they're called faithless electors.
In 2016, 4 of the 12 electors in Washington decided not to vote for Hillary Clinton, despite Hillary Clinton winning the popular vote in that state. Instead, 3 voted for Colin Powell, and 1 voted for the Native American activist Faith Spotted Eagle.
It isn't a new concept. According to Fair Vote, there have been 167 faithless electors since the Electoral College was founded. 43% changed their vote because the candidate they were supposed to vote for died before the Electoral College could vote. 40% who chose to vote for the candidate they wanted rather than matching the popular vote. 17% either didn't vote or cast an abnormal vote.
In the 2004 election, rather than casting their vote for John Kerry, the unknown elector cast their vote for Kerry's VP, John Edwards, and also misspelled Edwards' name as Edwards.
Wow. So the founders just let electors do whatever they want. They can choose someone the people didn't vote for. They can vote for a third party. They can even just vote for a typo. I can't believe what a giant flaw in the American electoral system this is. It's like finding out that they keep a key to Fort Knox under the doormats. And just by the way, I don't know if we should be holding voters accountable for the correct spelling of names. I don't think that's fair, especially in a country that's got 100 different ways to spell Allison. How do you have 4 L's in your name? Allison? Now, a lot of people do realize that this system is a problem. In fact, states were recently given the power to require electors to follow the will of the people. Unfortunately, very few of them actually do.
In the past term, the Supreme Court upheld the right of the states to insist that electors vote for the person who won the popular vote. But here's the deal. Only 14 of the 50 states actually have that legal requirement. In those 14 states, if a faithless elector goes rogue, the state can throw them out on the street and get somebody else in to vote according to the popular vote. But in all the rest of the states, if a faithless elector goes off on their own toot, there's nothing the state can do about it except fine them.
Really? Electors can subvert the will of the voters and undermine the foundations of democracy, and their punishment is the same as parking in front of a fire hydrant. In fact, parking in front of a hydrant is even worse because you don't just get a fine, you'll also get towed. I mean, charging someone $1,000 for giving the presidency to someone doesn't mean that they won't do it. It just means the bidding starts at $1,000. Now, the good news is Trump is down so many electors that it's unlikely he can convince enough of them to turn against their state's voters and vote for him. But the bad news is it's easy to see how a future election could be close enough that the losing candidate could convince enough electors to make them the winning candidate. And it would be totally legal. So, just a warning to all the states out there. You guys might want to firm up your laws about faithless electors, because Trump might not succeed this time, but it's only a matter of time before Dumb Jr. runs. And God help us all if that chinless motherfucker ever gets into the White House. So, those are the electors, and that's how they can change the game. And if you don't know, now you know.